So much for taking the time to view this demonstration of Decisions for Office 365. Now, what makes Decisions for Office 365 so fantastic for you and your colleagues is that it's simply an extension of the tools that you are already using every single day. From Word to Excel to Microsoft Planner to PowerPoint, we integrate seamlessly with all of those and basically put it together in one space where you can have all of your meeting information from the beginning to during when following up on the meeting in one place. Think of this as a collaborative environment where you can talk back and forth before the meeting happens, very easily discuss and see and prepare for the meeting when it happens, and follow up, simulate tasks, and do so much more all in the same space. Now, I always want to start by saying that your data is very safe. What I mean by that is that we do not have access to your data. We do not have access to your tenant. The data is the same as it is currently in Office 365. Now, our servers are for the upkeep of our software, of course, but one of the biggest driving factors is that data question. And my answer is yes, your data is secure. Now, if you'll take some time here to look at the application itself, it's very simple to find if you're looking for it. All you have to do is go to the add-in section and type in Decisions, and you'll see this cool little D. One of the first things I always say is, from there, you can pin it to your taskbar. It is right there. You are all set. Now, when I first go look in this Decisions application, it's going to ask me for administrator consent, meaning my IT has to say this is okay to put in the environment. Like I said, we are very non-invasive, but we do have to make sure we get that. Once that has gotten okayed and you are accepted by the IT environment, this is what it looks like. Now, you'll see I have some meetings here that are simply organized that I've recently organized myself. I can filter it in various different ways. This is something I really like. If I go in the past, for example, I can see a bunch of meetings that we've had, and I can filter it by agenda, by the minutes that we've created, or if it's specifically organized by me like you saw a second ago. Now, what makes all of this great is that it's a very quick way for someone to go back and say, what did we talk about last week? What did we talk about a month ago? And I can quickly access that information. And I like, even for when I have meetings coming up, I can just very clearly see it. I know, of course, you have Teams or Outlook, but I think this is just another really nice way to kind of get it laid out for you and kind of get everyone looking on the same page. Now, I'm going to show you right here how to add an agenda and just kind of what this looks like. But if I go here, it's very simple. It's clicking Add Agenda. Now, I can add this, of course, to any meeting that I've added through Outlook or Teams, I always want to say. And then once I'm here, you will see that I can, put it in any of these groups that I would like. And once I'm inside one of these groups, I can even specify if I want a specific channel. So for example, if you have a group, but you don't want to have everyone have access to all of this information, you can put this meeting in one channel that only a few people have access to, and only they would be able to see it and access the data at a later point. For this, I'm just going to add it to the whole group. Now, when you first open it up, it just looks like this, very simple, straightforward template. Now, I can go in here and fill it in basically just like Word. I can upload anything directly from SharePoint, or I can, add a link, or I can put a brand new file in, from my computer that will save. When we were talking about data before, I always say all of this information does save to your SharePoint, so you have a lot of flexibility on exactly who has accessibility and who has, the ability to see what, but also how you access it and where it's located within. So there's a lot of work that you can do within that, but those are some ways that you can upload a file. Now, this is nice. I can build it one by one, but one of the coolest features I would say is that you can save it as a template and be done with it. Now I can go up here and hit select template, and I can save templates that I've created previously in my team, the whole organization, or if I forgot to save something from the past, I can just use a recent meeting if I want. So this saves you a significant amount of time. For this, I'm just going to put together our board meeting template. As you'll see here, with one click of a button, it pulls up all the information. So especially if you have a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting, quarterly meeting, you can save this template and have it, pretty bare bones, but have the basic information filled out. Save yourself a lot of time and just make it easier to, stay consistent. And as it saves here for me, there are a couple things I want you to notice. Right here, you see where it says all and then someone specific. I can assign each agenda item to a specific person or to everyone. From that, I can make it so Jane Miller here, for example, only has access to filling out this piece when I'm ready to publish it. So I'm letting her know, hey, you are in charge of this. I can have it as simple as this. So she knows she goes in there and fills in all of these. Once that is done, she can edit it as she wants. It'll notify everyone that she is done and all these people individually so that the whole group can now go back and see all of the work that was done and is going to be prepared for this meeting. So they are more properly prepared. They know what's going on, and we don't waste how much time in a meeting just getting all this stuff figured out in the first place. One of my favorite features as well is if you look up here, the little time system. So I can, let people know exactly how much time is going to be for each one of these agenda topics. You'll see here in red, this is saying, hey, for an hour meeting, you don't have enough time to hit this. Very helpful to kind of keep me on track. You will see when I publish the meeting, while we're in the meeting itself, and I click on it, it'll say you have 3 minutes left, you have 2 minutes left. It allows you to stay on topic and know exactly what's going on. If someone's looking at it, you will see a little blue line here, slowly going down until it turns red, letting you know, hey, you're almost out of time. It really surprised me as someone who's been here for a while to see this as one of the customer's most recommended and highly favored features, because it just helped them save so much time by staying on track. So I think that's really cool. On top of that, as you're putting this together, we have a really cool hashtag system. You can think of it just like Twitter, maybe not that hip, but I think it's a really cool feature for the software. Now, I can make it anything I want. For this, I'm just going to use hashtag sales. But anything that you want, you can add there. And once you've used it, it'll pop up for the company, if there's a specific hashtag that you use, so people can find it right away. Now, what happens when I click on this is I can go back and see every single time I've hashtagged an agenda item in the past with that specific hashtag. Now you'll see here, I can go back and look at the past minutes. I can see the exact tasks that were added. If we made any votes or decisions, also a very, very cool feature. So all of this is available in one place for you. Now, a lot of people on the auditing side like to use this, to go back and look at past reports. To give you another use case, I personally use it when I'm doing sales reports. If someone says, hey, we're doing the sales numbers for the year, I can hit hashtag sales numbers, and each month I can go back and look at all the different work that I did. If everyone does this beforehand just by clicking on it, they are so much more thoroughly prepared for the meeting, and you don't have to spend meeting time going back and doing this manually, or have one person who wasn't able to do it beforehand and wastes a lot of time. There's a lot of creativity that you can have with that feature. Now, not everyone uses it in every meeting, but it is really cool that it's there. On top of that, as I'm building this together, I can go right here and add new decision. So let's say we're going to make a vote or some kind of decision during this meeting. I can do whatever I want. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to put vote on new CFO. And I can let them know it's a proposed or a final decision. Now from there, I just go ahead and save it. And you'll see here, this really cool tab opens up for me. Now this tab lets them know, hey, this is a proposed decision, as I said, and we can vote here. Now, as people are preparing themselves for the meeting, they can jump right in here and say, oh, I didn't realize we were going to vote on that today. Let's say there were a couple different people. Now they can do their research, or, hey, I need to make sure that I feel comfortable voting yes or no. You can do this before, during or after a meeting, by the way, the voting piece. So you don't have to spend a lot of time, even if it's a quick vote on something before a meeting actually happens. There's a lot of flexibility and creativity that you can use with that. Now, let's say I added 5 different decisions here. Once I go to start the vote, people can choose from the different options. Because I have one here, it would just simply be a yes or no vote. And I'll get to that in a second when we actually go into our meeting. For now, we are just doing the prep work. So I have my decision, I have my hashtag, my template's kind of filled out with everyone specifically assigned a role, of me asking them what to do. And from there, when I'm ready to notify people that the meeting is happening, or at least posting the agenda, all I have to do is go over here, and you'll see notify attendees. Now, what's nice with the software is you and your organization can decide how exactly you want to notify people. I realize that many people have different ways that they prefer it. That's more, accessible. I find that the software really helps you with that and allows you to be as simple as possible. You can do it the same way every single time, and nobody, is going to get confused if, forcing you to change it up or anything like that. Here, I can do email. I'll just post it in our general Teams channel. I can include a summary and a suggest button, which I'll show you here just in a moment. But once I hit notify, it puts the agenda live, if you will. What that looks like is I can jump in here and go to my Teams, go to my general, and you'll see right here, this is the agenda summary that I posted. Now, if I'm somebody specific, I can get an email if I want, hey, I need you to work on number 3, whatever that is. If I hit suggest agenda item, you're going to see that it pulls up that same original blank template from before I added my own personal template. So if someone is looking at the agenda and they go, oh, hey, we forgot, a very important piece of this, they can fill this out and send it to you if you're the, the author or the owner of the team. And then you can decide, hey, let's add this or no. But if you don't want to add it, you are actually able to table it for a later time. It'll save for you in your Microsoft Planner. I'll show you that here in a minute, but it is a nice feature to allow people to suggest. Now, as I don't know if you saw a second ago, you don't have to allow that to happen. So you do have that flexibility. Now, if I click on agenda, it'll just take me right back here. So if we look at this from a person who is not one of the owners, but has just been notified, what can they do once they jump in here? Well, one of the cool features that we have, minus viewing all of this, is they can add comments. So if I am looking through here and I'm like, hey, I want to take a look at this, and I feel like we are missing what we talked about last week, as a random example. And we fill in, excuse me, the right information. Something as simple as that. And then someone can reply to it. Think of it kind of like a Facebook. So we can have a lot of these conversations before the meeting takes place. Saving you a lot of time, like I've said before, and just kind of allow people to hash this out instead of wasting your time. Now, once they've done this and they've kind of reviewed it, let's say it's time for the meeting itself. We have a really, really exciting feature here at Decisions we've added just a few months ago. And I'll show you here, if I go to my calendar, now I don't have everything on here right away, but you'll see here this little agenda tab. So I can go to my Teams calendar and go to this little plus here, and I can add the Decisions tab. And once you add it, it's going to start showing up for you. It's going to show up for everyone else who has a license. But what this does is I'm going to jump into our actual meeting screen, and you see this little D right here. If I click on it, the agenda that I just created will show up on the side of my screen. Now, this is a really big deal for a lot of people because, as I said, this centralizes everything that you're doing. So you don't have to flip back and forth between 100 different screens and items. From here, I can see anything that we attached. I can see hashtags that we've made and all of that. I can also directly vote from here, which I will show you in a minute. If I'm the minute taker, I can jump right here and open the minutes, or I can go right to the web and open up the agenda itself there. So it's all right here for you. Now, if I go back into our meeting real quick, I mentioned the voting piece and we set this up. Once we're in the meeting, let's say, hey, it's time to start this vote. I can go ahead and click right here and hit start vote. Now you have several options when you're doing this. I can make it a completely open vote, meaning, everyone can see who voted and what they voted for. I can also add partial or full anonymity, meaning I can see who voted but not what they voted for, or unless I'm an admin, I can't see anything. So you do have that flexibility. We realize that there's some votes that are more private and personal. Now you'll see here I can let people know where I want to post it. So I can post the voting option in Decisions, in Teams. I can do it in the meeting chat. If I use the Decisions agenda here on the screen, you'll see that now that I've set that vote to be started, I can vote right here. I can view the results if I'm allowed. It's all right here and it'll let me know exactly how many people are voting on this specific topic. And if the vote isn't right or somebody wasn't added correctly, I can jump right in here. I can reject it. I can make it final, whatever I want to do. But it's really cool to have that kind of flexibility. Now, I also want to point out, you'll see here, as I mentioned before, this little blue line. So let's say we are, according to the time that I had this set up, we have 11 minutes left on this agenda topic here, and I'll show you here in a couple seconds, couple minutes, when it does drop down to the red. But it is really nice to have that functionality. On top of that, as we're going back and forth, something else that I think is very useful is you can add tasks. Now, I can assign it to anyone specifically, and I can save it to my Microsoft Planner or my Microsoft To Do. So you can decide which one you want to use, but it is a very, very nice system. I use it personally all the time. So I'm just going to do a random follow-up here. Let's say we assign it to our friend Elizabeth. Now you will see another tab pops up, just kind of like the Decisions tab. When I click on it, you'll see right here a little follow-up. Now what that kind of looks like a Microsoft Planner is, you see I have different channels here, and I can kind of see, I can look by meeting and see exactly when something was created, was it completed, we need something to be followed up. It makes your life very easy, especially from a project management standpoint. I can see what was done in the past, what needs to be done in the future, all of that right here for me. And then another piece of that is, if you don't remember what happened, you can always go back into last week's minutes and see the tasks there. I find that it keeps people much more on task, of course, and focused, just because, once you put it on something for everyone to see, there's a lot more incentive to make sure that it gets done. Now, on top of that, I've added these. I can take my own personal notes in OneNote if I'd like. It'll pull up and create a section where it's blank, save it in my book for me, where I can just go in here and use all of that. I can add myself, any little comments that I want. It's nice because it's in your OneNote, it'll save there for you. It's always right there for you, and you can go back and quickly access that. Even further, let's say I am a minute taker. By simply clicking here, or as you saw on the screen with the agenda on the chat, I can also find it there. I can use Word or OneNote to pull a creation of an automatic minute template that autofills for me. So I can name it whatever I'd like. Here, I'm just going to show you Word for the sake of demonstration, but they do both work just fine. As you see here, it opens up for me. The first time you would use Word, you would simply add the extension, just like you have in the other situations inside Teams or Outlook. Now, this is our very blank template, right? You will have the option to add your own logo and change the font and change the color, so it looks very professional and, most importantly, fits your organization. Now, on the right side here, once I've added this app to Word, I can put in whatever I want. If I took notes, I can automatically add them here. I can add the descriptions, actions, all of that, and I can decide by who is in the meeting and who I initially invited, who is absent. It's really nice. It just saves you a lot of time. Now, even more so, the biggest piece is, if I'm the minute taker, I don't have to flip back and forth, which is the point, of course, that I brought up several times. But in this situation, I can do it all right here. If we're adding more votes, or if I'm adding more tasks, I can quite literally add them right here, and it'll automatically insert itself back into the agenda. Even easier, once I'm ready to review and finalize the notes, I can send it to anyone to review, and I can just create a PDF. Now, you will also see if we need to have electronic signatures, I can do that here as well. But what happens after I've created this PDF is I can jump back in here, and it automatically saves itself to the top here. These buttons are very useful. I can make them whatever I want, but automatically now, as you saw in the beginning, if I go to that initial piece of the Decisions app, the minutes will be attached automatically PDF'd to this meeting. And it's also nice if I want to show somebody, in person, I can just print it off and hand it to them.